Hello and welcome to Avenge This, a show where if we can't predict the twist, you can be damn sure we'll avenge it. Just over a year ago, Matt and I sat down to talk about the first season of Daredevil Born Again as we watched Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio take their adventures as frenemies back to Netflix for a brand new story. With one more episode left as of time of recording and I think time of listening.
This is going to release a few hours before the finale comes out.
Rad. So you can timestamp us in real time of how we do. But with one more episode left, Matt and I are once again here to talk about this season, the story beats, the characters we wish wouldn't have gotten shot in the head in a sketchy apartment, and as always, some light speculation at the end. And that is to say, as always, if you're trying to not get season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, ruined for you, then I advise you turn off the podcast and also avoid power tools and dangerous men in nice suits.
Which, really is just an all-the-time thing. Whether or not you want Daredevil spoiled for you, avoid power tools and men in nice suits.
As stated before in prior episodes, 50% of the Debate This hosts are little Marvel freaks. And so that's exactly who you're going to get today. Joining me on this episode today is Matt. Wait, are we cheering for Bullseye now? Cole. Matt, what are your thoughts on season 2 of Daredevil Born Again as we kind of near the conclusion of this season?
Look, I've been cheering for Bullseye ever since Colin Farrell played a really unhinged version of it back in the Ben Affleck Daredevil. I'm pretty into it, man. I am really enjoying Daredevil Born Again. I am, and I think you will echo this as a fellow Marvel freak. The drip feed has slowed down pretty significantly, and it feels really nice. I'm in a way better mood to talk about Marvel stuff right now because I'm not just being accosted from all angles by Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
And that is pretty great. So I like Daredevil Born Again. And I also just like the way things feel right now and am scared for the next 3 months.
I would echo those things that this has been... I think we're all still a little wounded from the 2022, 2023 era of a
little
just we're all still, we have those scars of just the constant influx of content. And this has been really nice that I don't even find myself sprinting to watch the episode every week, that it gets to, Wednesday night or Thursday morning. And I'm like, oh, I need to go watch that episode. Because I feel like we used to be at such a breakneck pace that you had to keep up on it. Now, I will say, I think the internet has somehow gotten way worse at spoilers.
Yeah.
That, if when an episode drops within 12 hours, the biggest plot points are on every social media feed that you could ever end up on. So that's still a bit tough for the people that, I said that we're little freaks, but I feel like we've even, dulled our edges of freakdom. That is a little tough, but that all aside, I've also enjoyed this season. I enjoy the story they're telling. I enjoy the plot points. I enjoy the friends become enemies, become friends, become enemies kind of storyline. Lovers become enemies storyline. And so, I've enjoyed everything we've gotten so far.
Yeah, I think that Daredevil Born Again season 2, the one that is currently airing, is where we needed all of the things to get, the first season of Daredevil Born Again was, I would say, good, not great. And it felt at times like a few different shows being pieced together.
Right.
And Daredevil Born Again feels like somebody taking a bunch of frayed pieces of rope and braiding them back together nicely. And I don't know for sure, but it feels like they're going to kind of put a nice cap on the end of it. I don't think we're going to get a season 3, but I don't know. We'll talk about that at the end of the episode. Anyway, I think that this season is doing a really good job of getting back to what this show was to begin with, which was just a gritty crime drama about dudes punching dudes. And that's it. And I'm pretty great with that.
Yeah. Well, terrible news. We are getting a season 3. They're filming it right now. But that...
I just think they're going to call it something else. I think it's going to be something. We'll talk about it at the end of the episode.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So in recent episodes, when we do these Avenge This, We started mirroring a trend we did with our deconstructed Debate This premium show that we just wrapped up not long ago that you can find on our Patreon, patreon.com/debate this cast. And we would always call these Disney Vader pitches. And the goal was to give the synopsis of the plot in as few words as possible. And so, Matt, if you had to give a Disney Vader pitch for season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, what would be your Disney Vader pitch? And if it's not a Disney Vader pitch, because I could also see this, the themes. Like, what's the theme of this season?
Yeah. Okay. Disney Vader pitch. Season 1 of Daredevil on Netflix, but this year. If I were to tell you the themes, I would say that it's a lot of questioning what it means to be a hero, what it means to be a vigilante. That seems to be the overarching theme of, the question that Marvel always in some way comes back to, or the thing that Marvel comes back to being like, with great power comes great responsibility. This show takes a stab at saying, like, what does come with great power and what does that cause, while also pretty on the nose, touching a lot of really pertinent themes about the American government and the way that things have been for the last couple of years, what with the ICE raids and such. And yeah, I think that's a long ass Disney Vader pitch. It would be hard to give one for the whole season, but it's like, it's what you wanted out of Daredevil when you heard they were bringing Daredevil back. That's really it.
Yeah, I think themes for Daredevil have almost always been that they try and mirror the things that Kingpin is dealing with Matt Murdock. Like, they're like two sides of the same coin. Like, both have public faces and then private faces. And I feel like if it's Disney Vader pitch, Daredevil and Kingpin both fight to keep control of their lives. Like, and to dial that in more, I think specifically, Matt is coming back from season 1 fighting to get everything back. And Kingpin somewhat quickly is fighting to not let everything fall apart. Like, a dude that had kind of everything going for him when we saw him towards the end of season 1 has lost, like, his let's put it this way. In the last episode of season 1, we saw him rip a man's head in half. And now we're seeing him, like, shit is just falling apart around him. Like, loved ones, his like political standing, everything. And so I think it's, two sides of the same coin, where Matt's fighting to get it all back and Kingpin's fighting to not let go of it all, because it's all just going to hell.
Yeah, I think that wraps it up well. And it is really the big change from season 1 to season 2 being like, how on top of the world is Mayor Fisk? Like, he peaks right at the end of season 1. And I think that picking up in season 2, it's much more interesting to see him not at the apex of his success.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So let's get into some of the plot. So, like I said, at the end of season 1, we saw Wilson Fisk becoming the mayor and ripping a man's head in half. We saw the serial killer known as Muse dead and certainly not set to return in any way, shape, or form. Definitely not haunting the psychologist / ex of Matt Murdock. Totally not a thing. We see Matt Murdock embrace the title of Daredevil again. He is, as they say in the title, born again. Karen Page shows up, returns back into his life, and perhaps one of the best plot points at the very end, the Punisher making it 100% clear that he is not a fan of the anti-vigilante task force, which is certainly meta commentary that is not new, but some people need to have that pushed in their face.
It's a good reminder.
It's
a good reminder for folks,
Yeah, there's a reason why they changed the Punisher symbol not that long ago. So season 2 gives us Daredevil getting back into the swing of things, Bullseye becoming a sympathetic character, Daniel Blake, who, if you don't recognize by name, the Kingpin's piss boy, becoming just a crowd favorite. Like, just this little Gen Z chud who everyone just learns to love so much. Matt's former fling, the psychologist, who is definitely fine and not going through manic flashbacks of her close encounter with Muse, which is certainly not foreshadowing for a future development. And we do get, very early on, the introduction of a character known only as Mr. Charles. What's that guy's deal? What's he up to? Huh?
Well, and I think we find out in that first episode that he's from the feds. Yeah. Mr. Charles from the feds.
He is Mr. Charles from the feds. I think that is that his name is probably not Mr. Charles. It's got a different name that maybe might be a fun reveal. Who's to say? But just stellar acting, stellar character work. But my question here, just a pretty broad one, is just out of kind of the rundown we've had so far, what have been some of your favorite plot points? What are some of your favorite characters and moments? And what do you wish we would have seen more of, or may still get to see more of? And I'll just start with Daniel Blake being killed is a real kick in the dick. That one, which they said after it was done, I guess they recorded versions where like he didn't die in this season, and they like went back and changed that, which, you know, they want to make you hate Buck. We all hate Buck. But that was like a really good way to do that. And he kind of did his selfless like saving of his friend BB. But yeah, Matt, what were some highlights? What do you want to see more of? What couldn't you get enough of?
Yeah, I also really like Daniel Blake. Boy, was I sure he was going to get it. I felt like it was pretty clear as soon as Wilson Fisk was like, I see myself in you. I was like, well, he's cooked. That guy's going to die for sure.
I thought it was after the Power Tools episode where Buck goes and does not stay brand loyal. I mean, Matt and I, you and I, we've talked in real life, like your Power Tool brand loyalty, you don't need to shop around. You know what you're going to go and get.
It's true.
So the fact that was a drawn out scene, I was like, oh, he's going to get it here. And I was wrong.
So I do really like Daniel Blake. I'm not surprised that he got. I have really liked the angle of Mr. Charles and the feds, and I'm pretty sure they name drop Val pretty early on.
I think they did.
I don't remember exactly what episode that happens in, but I know that it happened, and I really like the angle that's like tying this into the broader MCU, not being some like, you know, really particular like this character from this world is definitely going to appear and it's another Star Fox situation. And it's more of just like, yeah, of course the CIA would have tabs on the mayor of New York. And if the mayor of New York was able to smuggle large amounts of illegal munitions out of the city tax free, the CIA would want their cut of that. And having what's the word I'm trying to think of? An adversary for Fisk that he can't just like pound his way through. You know, obviously that's the deal with Daredevil. He like keeps coming back, but the whole thing for Wilson Fisk is that Daredevil is just a vigilante and he doesn't really take him seriously. Having a government person who at the end of the day can put more fire under Fisk than he can back, I think is really cool. And I also like the angle that, you know, we saw Buck take out a couple of Mr. Charles guys. And I like that we're seeing somebody who works for Val not being like 100% in charge and perfect of everything. Like we are seeing that there are flaws in all departments. But those have been cool. And then the last thing I'll say is I'm really glad that Matt and Karen are finally smooching. I have been a Matt and Karen shipper since Daredevil season 1. I'm just really happy that we get to see him smooch. That's well deserved.
Yeah, the one big thing I would say about Mr. Charles, I think the point that I learned that I really liked that character was he's meeting in Fisk's office and Fisk's lieutenant governor says something like, well, what do you do around here? And he says, what does a lieutenant governor do ever? Or something like she says something like, what's your job? And he's like, what's your job? Like,
Yeah.
it was just such a good, oh shit. Okay. Yeah, man. Like, that's pretty good. That's real funny to like take the teeth out of the moment right then and there.
I saw some interview with Matthew Lillard recently where he said he doesn't actually think that he's a good actor or that people like him. He thinks it's just like a wave of nostalgia, and that's why he's popular again. And I hope he knows that that's not right, because
No, it's not
he's
right.
so good, and I really enjoyed him in this character.
Yeah, I agree with that. He seems to kind of like chew up the scene every time he's in it. And like, I can kind of see maybe his point. He's playing a smarmy dude who has a ton of resources and knows more than everyone else. And that's just the play that he's doing, which is not obviously like a deeply immersive role. So I can see how maybe that would create some imposter syndrome. But I mean, he does a good job with it. Like
Yeah.
every scene he's in, you're like, yeah, that's Mr. Charles right there. The thing I wish we would have gotten more of so far, and we'll talk about it a bit later. So in episode, I think it was in 7, that we get the reveal, like Jessica Jones is in the picture. And I was a big fan of the Jessica Jones shows, especially season 1 was incredible. Like probably still one of the best seasons of a Marvel TV show. What with the Purple Man and whatnot. But I wish that we would have gotten more of her so far, and we've still got another episode, and there's who knows what's to come. But like, anytime they have Jessica Jones on TV just breaking men in half is always a good time. And the last thing that I would say that I wish we had more of is that obviously, the character's name, the psychologist Heather Glenn, she's kind of just been present. And she's been more apparent in the past couple episodes. I mean, she throws hands at Karen Page when she's locked up in an interrogation room. So obviously we're getting that like something's bad there and she's had her flashbacks. But knowing that the Muse storyline in season 1 just kind of like came and went, I was hoping to see more of that kind of bubble up through this season. And maybe we're still kind of working towards it, because like, I think there's going to be a season 3 reveal there. But I want to make sure it feels like we earn it when we get there.
I gotta say, that's so funny, because those are all things that I've been like, man, I'm glad we don't have more of that. You know,
oh, really?
Like,
okay, that's fair.
I feel like part of the issue with a lot of Marvel shows is that they like overstuff them. There's like it's like a triple
fair.
stuffed Oreo. And so I've enjoyed having an episode and a half of Jessica Jones and not a ton more, because I don't need a ton more Jessica Jones in my Daredevil show. Like, let's just keep this
fair.
about Daredevil. And honestly, same way about Dr. Glenn. Like, I feel like conversely, if you fleshed out her story more, I think that I would be fine with it. Like, she's not some other character, like we're trying to add extra sauce or anything like that. I just feel like her storyline has been really out of place and just kind of like bleh, the whole time. I just don't really care about her. The most interesting things I think she's doing are in the interrogation room, and any other time I'm like, what is this character for?
Yeah.
And I feel like if they did more with her, I probably wouldn't hate it. But I also felt like the Muse storyline was one of the things that got just like cutting room floored largely in the first season. And I think something that I want as a Marvel fan is to just let some of that shit go. You know, like I beat the drum for a long time of how cool it was that it's all connected. And we're at the point that if we want to bring that joy back, we gotta let some of that shit go.
We got to know where to let things stand, which I think you're right. I think what I would say is, knowing fairly certain that the Muse storyline continues, that I just hope that, assuming it does, that it feels more earned than how it wrapped up in season 1. Because I'm with you that in the kind of cuts and rewrites and filming of season 1, that felt like it kind of got lost along the way. And that if they're planning to continue that into season 3 in any shape or form, I hope it feels earned. I think that would be the thing.
Yeah. And I just think like with one episode left, anything they do with it is going to feel very unearned, you know?
Right.
This season has had a lot of really great moments for me. And it's mostly been Matt Murdock punching guys, you know? Like,
yeah, give me all that.
Let's just get back to Matt Murdock punching guys.
Well, speaking of guys that Matt Murdock has punched, one of the main plot points of the season has been kind of showing the fall of Wilson Fisk. He has it all, and bit by bit, he's surely losing it. He's losing control of the city. Obviously, the anti-vigilante task force is not keeping vigilantes out of anything. Vanessa is dead, and if the Spider-Verse movie taught me anything, a kingpin that loses his Vanessa becomes a very desperate, terrible man. And so, you know, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin has been just kind of this fan favorite villain. Like, he's probably one of the favorite castings, I feel like. If he's not top 3, he's probably top 5 in almost everyone's list. So my question, I guess, is one episode left. We know there's going to be a future season of something. We're not done with Kingpin. What do you think of his storyline? And what do you think a desperate and vengeful Kingpin looks like going forward?
So, yeah, 100% about Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. Vincent
he
D'Onofrio
loves this shit
Kingpin.
Too. He's so into it.
He is, and he's so good for it. And I think he plays the character really, really well. I think that the character is currently at like kind of an unusable spot for the story that it feels like Marvel is telling. And I think, I mean, it'll bleed into predictions, but who cares? So basically right after Daredevil ends, we get the Punisher special feature, which is called One Last Kill, I think. And I think it's going to be Frank Castle kills Kingpin. I think that's the story of that. At least that's my guess, which I don't know. I could be wrong. I am actively avoiding the YouTube "we figured out the plot of the next movie" videos, because that shit sucked all my joy, and I just need a little bit of surprise back in my life. So I am not as well read on the theories of the internet as I once was, but I have loved Wilson Fisk. I've loved all the stuff they've done with him, and I wouldn't hate if we put him in jail and just left him in jail for a little while before we brought him back out again. And I kind of think that that's going to be the end of at least this season, is that Wilson Fisk is going to be put into some sort of jail, but probably not dealt with. You know, like Baron Zemo got put into a jail at the end of Civil War, and then they took him out when they wanted to make Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I don't think it's impossible for them to do that with a character. But my only complaint about this season of Wilson Fisk, and this is, I'm gonna backwalk so quick on all that shit I said about everything doesn't need to be connected, and I stand by that, and I was right the first time. But I really liked Echo, and me and my 10 friends that watched Echo all really liked it.
Yeah, man.
Part of the ending of Echo was that the character Echo taught Wilson Fisk through divine intervention some amount of empathy. Like, that was kind of the thing. She made him feel bad for all the shit he's done. And there are like shades of that. And I think that if they would have given us a little bit more of Wilson Fisk being remorseful, regretful, feeling a little like, maybe I've taken this too far to get this power, and then Vanessa dies, and then he like snaps and it all goes away. That pivot, I think, would feel really awesome. Instead, I feel like the post Vanessa, the unvanessa'd Wilson Fisk is, at least in the episode we've seen him, like a little bit more just lost and like bull in a china shop than he is like a vengeful, raged induced, I'm going to take over the world kind of character. And I wish we were getting a little bit more of that. I feel like what we are going to get when the finale comes out is a Wilson Fisk that is sloppy, right? And is like so out of control and so vengeful for Vanessa that he will make a terrible mistake. Put something on a camera that isn't supposed to be on camera, whatever.
I think I agree with a lot of what you said. I think that his storyline in Echo was meant to humanize him, and I think it did. And, throughout season 1 of Born Again shows him his like rise to power, kind of lost. He realized that he needed to be like violent to get his he definitely became a means to an end. The means justify the end kind of thing, or the end justifies the means. And I think that I agree. I wish they would have gotten more like sympathetic Wilson Fisk. And instead what we got were leading up to and after Vanessa's death, like flashbacks. Like the painting was supposed to be the big thing. That here is this painting that she sold him, and all the symbolism of the painting is like a white like canvas, a frail, empty man would search for something in this, which is just really funny, like foreshadowing of like, of course, Wilson Fisk wants that. He wears white suits. It's his whole thing at that point, And then his fight with Matt Murdock is there in front of the painting, and it ruins the painting and all that stuff. So I think they tried to do some of that there. If anything, I think that like the moral of the story from Wilson Fisk's perspective is going to be when he is not in control of everything, bad stuff happens. And I think that might be his new angle of like, does he only do, one term as the mayor of New York? I don't know. There's a history of comic book villains becoming mayor of New York or governor of New York. I'm pretty sure Norman Osborn becomes the governor. I know he becomes the mayor at some point. So like, that's fine. Like that role's gonna move around eventually. I like the thought of him either going to jail again, because obviously that was really fun in the first, series of Daredevil. I also love the idea of him like going underground for a while. Like I do agree there has to be some sort of like he goes somewhere.
Yeah.
Either he goes somewhere, or another interpretation would be the city of New York turns its back on him because New York is his city and he loves the city. Well, now the city's betrayed him and he's lost everything. And so what will a desperate man with still power and a platform do? And will something happen that dethrones him from that power, but doesn't straight up put him in jail again? Because I think you're right. I also think that if we end another season of Daredevil with Fisk in prison, that might feel weird because we've heard that song before. But I do think you're right. There has to be a fall from grace, and then he has to build back up at some point.
Yeah, I just feel like they need to shelve the character for a little while just to let it simmer. And I Googled Daredevil season 3 while you were talking, and apparently like just a day ago, time of recording, they released something that said it will introduce a few new villains, which, yeah, sure, man, it's a TV show, cool. Whatever.
Still, man, give it to us.
Yeah, right. I heard you wouldn't. It sort of seems like the Hand is going to be a feature in Spider-Man, the brand new day that is coming out pretty soon after we get the Punisher special feature. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're setting up to hear a lot more from Daredevil and then not a lot from Wilson Fisk for a while. But I don't think that we are going to be the whole way done with the character.
Well, and I like the idea that keep Wilson Fisk as this ground level bad guy, make him the kingmaker on the ground. And what better way to do that than to like make him disappear for a while? And then, Wilson Fisk saves New York again. Maybe they give, the Dark Avengers storyline to Wilson Fisk that he puts together a team or whatever. Like I would love to see another version of it. Sucks because it mirrors life in some pretty shitty ways, but like a shitty politician stepping back into the frame to be like, and you need me, right? And too many dumb people are like, yeah, we do. And so I would like to see, I agree with you. I want to see him go away for a bit, fall from grace, come back later. So we're going to take a quick break. As we always do when we come back, since we talked about the bad guys, we're going to talk about the good guys. And of course, we're going to give you just a little bit of speculation. So stay with us.
Vanessa. Willie. Vanessa. Still hearing that shit. Vanessa.
All right, and we're back. So let's take a real quick head count. Matt Murdock, a little splash of Frank Castle, the swordsman for a minute, who does way cooler shit in this than he did in Hawkeye. Karen Page, BB Ulrich and her Infowars / anonymous mashup reporting, which is very fun. Bullseye sometimes. And Jessica Jones with a very sly Luke Cage name drop. We've had a whole handful of heroes. The White Tiger again, briefly. We've had just a whole bunch of heroes. Matt, who stood out? Who do you want more of? Anything particular that kind of was like, yeah, that's my shit right there.
Dude, it's got to be Bullseye. Bullseye
Dude,
is
yeah, man,
incredible, man. And like, I really, really liked Bullseye in the 3rd season of the Netflix Daredevil show.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was really well done. Or I thought that the character, what am I trying to say? I thought the Ben Poindexter character was really interesting. I didn't love the way that they did Bullseye, but in this, the way that they have done his ability to take people out, his ability to be a psychopath, his just weird mannerisms, like
so good.
Wilson Bethel's so great. And I'm so glad that at least for now, again, the last episode comes out tonight, but at least for now, we've gotten to see him just kind of like walk off. Like he's just out there somewhere.
Yeah, just out doing it.
And I'm really
Can I,
real
quick, how much did you love the scene where the anti-vigilante task force were going to kill Matt Murdock and then a bunch of daggers threw in the window? And like, I think for me, the funniest thing was the one dagger said like, "You're welcome." And like, there's just this irony. Like, obviously Daredevil knew that was from Bullseye, but Matt Murdock is blind. He cannot read. And I think there's just this really funny moment of that landed. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then a second later, I'm like, okay, I know he has heightened senses, but 1, it's written on the dagger, and 2, it's facing the camera. Like,
yeah. I loved equally as much the scene of the governor of New York is super about to be killed in her office, and she is about to run out of breath, and then all of a sudden this assassin gets stabbed in the back of the head. And Bullseye just like whistles and goes on his way.
It's so good.
A lot of the Daredevil comic villains are weirdos, just straight up weirdies.
Absolutely.
And I love that we get to see Bullseye be more of that. Like I said, I'm a fan of the Colin Farrell Bullseye, and I'm excited that we got more Bullseye, and I just want more. You give me even more Bullseye.
You like Colin Farrell's little weird carved bullseye on his forehead that he ran his fingers across like a pervert?
Exactly. Yeah, give me more of that. I want to see him carve it. I also, it is cool to see Jessica Jones. It was cool to hear the Luke Cage name drop. I know there's that picture floating all over Instagram of Kristen Ritter, Michael Coulter, and
the actor that plays Danny Rand.
Finn Jones, Danny Rand. So, I mean, I guess we'll get them probably. Like I said, I want my Daredevil show to be about Daredevil. God damn it. Is that so much to ask? Those I think have been those have been my like top level. A little bit lower down, really like the Swordsman. It's been fun to, have him here. I think that it's really fun that they justified that guy for 3 episodes just so they could answer the question, hey, where are Matt and Karen getting all this money from? Like, how do they keep getting Range Rovers to drive around? It's like, oh, well, it's because Jack Duquesne's taking care of them. And I think that's really fun. But yeah, Hector Ayala's niece, fine.
Sure. I wanted more out of that, but also fine.
Yeah.
I think I wanted more out of that because we're in this weird superhero world where people have powers, and I want more people with powers because they found a weird relic. Like, I want more of that because we've currently got like, you're either enhanced by technology, you're super, super skilled, or like something magical or science happened to you. And I really like they found an amulet. This amulet makes you really powerful. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I want that in more stuff. So I think I was cheering to see more of that, but also I get it.
Yeah. And it didn't really seem like the amulet inherently gave her powers in this show. It kind of just seemed like it was a vibe, and that it was maybe insinuated that it did. And I think that was a good choice, because that wasn't like another, oh, now we've got this other hero we got to take care of. Like, if she shows up a while from now and becomes the White Tiger in a different thing, okay, cool, great. But it's not we ram jammed another one in here for you.
Right. I completely agree with everything you said. I think Bullseye also just steals the show and everything he's in. I watched the diner scene twice.
Diner scene is incredible.
Well, they just do such a good job with, like, he's this dude with PTSD and a moral compass that is all over the place. That is really just kind of fused on revenge and whoever that is aimed at. And I think I probably enjoyed the episode where, like, him and Matt stumbled through the sewers way more than I probably should have, because constantly Matt was like, shut up, like, I'm saving you.
Yeah.
And he's like, you shouldn't save me. And you could just tell Matt is like, I owe you this. Shut up. And then constantly Bullseye's reminding him about Foggy. And Matt's like, shut up. I'm just like,
I'm trying to save you, man. Like, yeah.
Well, and then like gets him back to his house and, cuffs him up. And then Karen's like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, I know. Sorry. It's this. This is the thing I got to do. And I don't know. I enjoy the humanity of Matt Murdock. I enjoy the imperfectness of these characters. That is very, very good for me.
I totally agree. And I like that they have stuck with Matt's commitment to not killing anyone, even though, like many superheroes, most of those people that he fought would beg for death. They should just let them die.
You're going to tell me that a man that takes his like cane stick straight to the face at like Mach 2 isn't just, that man's life is never the same.
Nope. That guy can't write his own name anymore. He's toast. No. So I agree. The imperfectness of all of the people in this story, I think, is really what makes it as good as it is.
Well, let's talk about where we go from here. As we always do in this show, we always like to end with a little bit of speculation. And so I want to start with a question, then open it up for speculation. At the end of when we recorded the end of the first season just about a year ago, the question I asked was, Foggy Nelson, dead, Y or N? I'm a little amazed that we're at episode 7 of 8 and we don't have an answer that is not no. We've done a lot of flashbacks, which, earlier reporting had said that Foggy Nelson's character had been seen on the set recording. Maybe it was all flashbacks. And so, once again, Matt, I posed you the question, Foggy Nelson, dead, YRN, because as we know, we have not seen the body. And past that, what do you think's coming up?
So we have seen the body. We haven't seen a funeral. That's what it
That's
is.
fair.
Like,
That's fair.
You know, I think Foggy Nelson dead. Why? Yes, he dead. I remember you asking me that a year ago, and I remember being firmly planted in the Foggy dead N camp.
Sure.
But I do think that I've shifted. I think that this Marvel show has done a good job of tying some threads together and also not needlessly over convoluting itself. And that is something to be praised, and also makes me feel like they're not going to bring Foggy out of witness protection or some shit. Like, he just dead. And I like that. I think that's fine. I really like Eldon Henson. He's one of my favorite actors. And I'm sad that we're not going to get his Foggy Nelson anymore, but I am fine with Foggy being dead. As far as what I think is coming, the thing that has been the most interesting to me here in the last few episodes is, have you caught the hints and the insinuation that some of the anti-vigilante task force are juicing and are a good bit stronger than they're supposed to be?
I've not. I've missed that.
Yeah. So there are a couple of different moments that it comes up, but the one that like really sticks into my head is, I think it's Powell is the name of the main guy.
Yeah.
He gets like clocked in the back of the head by a pipe and turns around like nothing happened. And everybody in the scene is kind of like, hey, whoa, that seems weird. And there have been a few other moments of like Jessica Jones hit somebody real hard and they kind of like got up and dusted off pretty quickly. Fair. I think that we're going to find out that in exchange for the Freeport, the Red Hook Freeport getting the CIA or the feds or Val, just Val, guns out of New York under the cover of night, they exchanged some, whether it's like new super soldier serum from Madripoor or the stuff from the Sentry program. Like, I think I think Val's trying to make super soldiers. That seems pretty clear. That seems to be kind of the thing she's doing. And so I think that some of these vigilante task force guys are juicing and could become other low-level street villains along the way. Whether they're villains we know or villains we don't know. I think that could really lead into next season. And my other big prediction is, like, I think we're going to get the Defenders back. I think we're just going to do a Defender, and I don't think they're going to call it season 3 of Born Again. I think they're going to call it Daredevil and the Defenders, or Daredevil and Friends, or Your Friendly Neighborhood Defenders. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to be Daredevil season 3. I think it's going to be more of a Defenders thing. I think we're going to get maybe a Luke Cage and maybe a Danny Rand cameo at the end of this. Hopefully neither, if I'm honest. But I would take a Luke Cage. Danny Rand's going to really upset me, but I'll allow it, I guess.
I'm thinking, what is the thing? Like, what's the season 2 ending, like, thing? You know, like, what is the ending thing? And I don't know what, like, a big reveal that would startle everyone is. And I feel like if it was Foggy Nelson returning, that either it is held so close to the chest, like the Red Skull appearing in Endgame, or it is just not happening. And so I agree with everything you said about Foggy Nelson. I would like to see a comic book standard set here of, like, we know you love Foggy, he's dead.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm like 80-20 YN of if he's dead. They're just, obviously there's a precedent in comic books that no one's ever dead, except for Uncle Ben.
Yep.
And
Uncle Ben and Batman's parents.
Yeah, that's it. And well, even then they gave us Batman's dad in an alternate universe.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Where his mom is the Joker in that universe.
So
it's
Batman's
fine. That's
mom.
Cool.
So it's Uncle Ben and Batman's mom, Martha Wayne.
There it is. And so there's a precedent where there's a storyline where Foggy Nelson goes into witness protection, yada, yada, yada. So I don't know. I'm not interested in that, honestly. Like, what would Foggy Nelson returning do for anything? Like, Matt's already kind of got his angel and his devil on his shoulder. The angel kind of being Karen Page and the devil being the Punisher whenever he's around, or Bullseye, I guess. So I don't need that. Completely agree. We're getting some form of the Defenders. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Luke Cage show up briefly, because I think the storyline they're going to give us is when Luke Cage runs for mayor of New York against Mayor Fisk. Fist. I think that is going to be the play of like Luke Cage versus the Kingpin for the mayor of New York, and which means that Kingpin's not going underground at the end of the season, but still something bad has to happen. I think he will get exposed for being slimy. I think that like he will lose the favor of New York in a very public way. And so I think that will happen. Maybe we get like the Muse revealed that she is that Dr. Glenn is going to be Lady Muse or Muse. I don't know what that is.
I don't know either, man. Who gives a shit?
But yeah, I don't know. What I want to see more than anything, I guess, if I get to call a shot of what I want to see in this last episode. We said at the top of the episode, Matt Murdock is best when he's punching dudes.
Yep.
I want to see Matt Murdock and Bullseye just take it to town on a bunch of anti-vigilante task force dudes. And what I think would be really fun is if there is a kind of echoing what Matt did in the last season, where he was trying to stop all those cops without Punisher killing everyone, a version of that with Bullseye, where he's like swatting knives out of the air to try and stop Bullseye from like killing Fisk.
Yeah.
While he's also trying to beat up Fisk. Like, I think that would be very, very funny. Because again, I think that Matt holding on to his humanity and his moral compass is a big part of his character. And knowing that this show last season started with him throwing, Bullseye off the roof. I feel like this season has been a redemption to try and like undo some of that, and I'm curious to see how that resolves, because I think at the end of this, everyone doesn't walk away and go separate directions. Either like either Bullseye does end up in jail, or he ends up out in the wind, or something. But yeah, I completely agree. I think we're getting some version of the Defenders coming up, which I'm cool with, especially if we're getting street level vigilante stuff. I think that's cool. I like that. The high points of the Defenders were very high, and the low points were catastrophically low. And I don't blame all of it on the actors involved. I feel like the writing didn't do a lot of them justice, outside of Iron Fist punching Luke Cage in the head one time. And then that was their example of how strong his punches are.
Yeah. Man, Iron Fist is really bad.
It's really bad.
I have two other things, just two quick thoughts. Thing one, we've talked a lot about this show echoing modern day politics and some of the things that we're experiencing here in America. Is it a more interesting ending if at the end of this, Mayor Fisk is still in office and nothing really changes? Does that, I know that feels really bad, but is that a more interesting ending?
I think it can be, with the caveat that like that is where the entrance is of like, we're gonna need help, is like the phrasing that come like, or the rallying cry is not, we can't beat up Wilson Fisk to solve this problem. Mm-hmm. Like, no amount of punching Vincent D'Onofrio in the face is gonna solve this problem. Like, we got to take him down where it hurts and like take his power away. Yeah. Which I think then starts a season 3 of like, now Wilson Fisk is fighting wars on the political side and like the seedy underbelly side, which I think is where he can't hold ground on both.
Yeah. So
yeah, man, you might be onto something there.
That's thought one. Thought two, I would like to propose a question to you. I feel like we're in for one more character death. I feel like somebody's got to die. I don't feel like there's been enough blood on the table for this show, and I feel like we're going to lose one more. Who do you think it is going to be and why? Or I guess, do you agree?
I could say it.
Who, then why?
I could see it. Man, I feel like if Buck had been a more prominent villain to Matt, then I would say Buck. But that is to say that could still happen. Like I could really see another version of like Bullseye goes for the kill and like Buck catches the stray, or like, Buck is in the wrong place at the wrong time and Bullseye kind of shrugs and just puts a knife through his chest. Like if there's a bad guy that's going to go, I do think it is Buck. Maybe there's some version of like Bullseye doing a heroic death also feels like it could be there, but people really like him. And I feel like that's a tough one to see go. I don't think they kill off Karen Page because we can't kill Karen and Foggy. Because I think in the original run, the first writing of season 1, there wasn't going to be a Karen Page involved. And so, yeah, I'd say Buck is probably at the top of that list, unless it's something like way less relevant.
That is so fascinating. You and I, once again, on opposite ends of the table. I think Karen Page's ass is grass.
Oh,
I
you
think she's toast. And I don't want to say that because I love Karen Page and I love Deborah Ann Wall. But they've been smooching all season. And
it's true. They have been smooching.
Here's a couple of thoughts, right? We've already talked about how Daredevil and Wilson Fisk's stories are supposed to echo each other. Yeah. Wilson Fisk lost Vanessa. It makes sense for Daredevil to lose Karen Page. Thing number 2, if we are getting Jessica Jones back, if Daredevil is going to be in Spider-Man, if we are going to do the Defenders, what reason does Matt Murdock have to continue to do vigilante shit if he's got his smoking hot girlfriend at home? What is the point? And thing number 3, and I think that you said it, but I think we're going in different directions. I think that Matt is going to be trying to stop Bullseye from killing someone, and he's going to deflect something into Karen Page the same way that Wilson Fisk did to Vanessa to complete the character foil. And yeah, I'm going to be really upset. I'm probably going to cry a little. I really like Karen Page. I don't want her to die, but boy, does it feel like she has been living easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. And I honestly wouldn't even be surprised if it's Heather Glenn that chokes Karen out, and that's what starts Matt on the path of like finding Muse. We also got that weird kinky thing with her choking Buck in the bedroom that was like super out of place. So I don't know. I think writing's on the wall for Karen Page. I hope I'm wrong. But that's my prediction.
Yeah, man, you kind of hit it on the head. Like if I am right that they are foils to one another, then that is great. That's a great shot to call.
Well, in 12 hours, we'll know.
Yeah, we'll know soon. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and wrap it up for today. So thank you so much for listening in to Avenge This. It is a show brought to you by the nerds that debate this. If you liked what you heard today, be sure to subscribe to Avenge This podcast feed, where you can find recaps for movies and shows from the MCU, and also sometimes the DC stuff, and also maybe not, I don't know. Until next time, I'm Todd Thomas.
I'm Matt, trying to Google Colin Farrell Bullseye quotes, Cole.
And hey, catch us next time when we talk maybe about Spider-Man, maybe about the Lanterns TV show, maybe about Clayface. Matt's going to want to talk about Clayface.
Yeah, I'm going to want to talk about Clayface.
Bye.